Hey students, how you guys doing this week? I hope you guys had a great spring break, and I hope you enjoyed the break and had some time to yourself for a little bit. This week we're going to have our exam, and so I know it takes a little bit for some people to get into back into school mode. So I'm going to give you guys, we're going to give some time for review for the first couple days, and then after that we'll be taking our exam towards the end of the week. So with this week we're not going to have any new material. Only just all you need to do is review material. Now, you do have a review quiz that's due on Tuesday, but that's to help you to prepare for the exam as well. So all of this material this week is really to help you for the exam. So let's go through that real quick. First of all, there's no additional readings. Just go back through your objectives from the other weeks, and if you can answer those questions, that will help you. As a suggestion for when you take the exam, I highly suggest that people, when you go through those objectives, write down what you think the answers are to those. Make yourself a cheat sheet for the exam, because you don't have time in the exam to go back through all the different parts of your lecture slides and stuff like that to prepare yourself for a question. This is open book, but you only have an hour. And so, I mean, you have the same amount of time you would if you were in a face-to-face class. And so that's how I designed my exams and my class, is that it would be the same amount of work and same amount of time that a student would have in a face-to-face class for an online class. Okay, so just make sure that you go back and do that. So the lectures for this week, there's really only the lectures not any new information in the lectures, but I did try to go through and synthesize some of the material that we've had from our discussions that we've had in the past. Okay, so for example, in our discussions in the last couple of weeks, the first one that we had for plate tectonics was about plate tectonic settings, and you were supposed to research a specific tectonic setting, right? And then the next week we actually talked about folds and faults and things like that, and try to figure out how they are related to each other. And the last one was a discussion about, to tie everything together, to discuss how earthquakes and stress relates to the tectonic setting as well. So really, it's hopefully been a combination to try to dig deeper into these topics and try to make these connections, because that's part of the hard part of this is just trying to make all the connections back through, trying to quickly think about an idea and put all these different conceptual ideas that we've been discussing throughout the first unit and the second unit together. So with that being said, this exam for this week is what we call a cumulative exam, which means material from last time is still in this test. For example, we still talked about volcanoes a lot this last time. And next unit, we're going to talk a lot more about sedimentary rocks, because we're going to talk about rivers and things like that. So the ideas that we had from our first unit and second unit will build on each other as they go. So it's very important that we do what we call a cumulative test, where we have all the ideas together. Now this test will be about 75% of it will be on the material that we had from this unit. Okay, so focus more on that, but there still will be some material from the last unit. So it might be a good idea to go back to your old exam and actually read through those questions, because I'll promise you that some of those questions will show up on this upcoming exam this week as well. Okay, so you can go back through the old exam and get some feedback from that. Excuse me. Just to let you know, I might seem a little nasally today because the pollen and my allergies are just killing me right now, so I apologize for if you can't understand me as well. Okay, so the lectures that I had, what I did is I did a summary through a whiteboard. First time I kind of used the whiteboard here in an online setting. I've done it before in class, but not in an online setting. So hopefully it worked okay this time. So what I did is I wrote on the whiteboard, and I actually went through a summary and a review session pretty much of connecting all these different ideas. Now I did a snapshot of the summary that we used on the whiteboard here, and you can go look through that and kind of walk yourself through the summary. You might need to zoom in on it. So like for example, I can zoom in on this section, and hopefully the resolution is good enough for you. And my handwriting's not terrible, but go through it and look through it and walk through that. Now, I also have a video of me doing this, and so I have the video. These videos will walk you through individual of me drawing through this and explaining it as I go. And I recommend that you watch it through the video so you can see it there. Because that way, there's a lot more additional information that I talk about when I draw these things than you will get from just reviewing this diagram, right? And then plus you might be able to read my writing a little bit better because I say it as I write it, right? So anyways, so go back through there. For the people who don't know how to zoom in and zoom out, I mean, you can do that on any computer by just going Control plus or Control minus. Or in mine's a touch screen, so I can move out just like a tablet, right, back and forth. And so just look, that way you can zoom into the picture, zoom out of the picture to see what you can do. Anyways, so that's a recommendation I have for you to that. Now the discussion this week, there is no graded discussion this week. The discussion this week is just a discussion board so you can set up to talk to other students in the class regarding the test, or any questions they have about a topic that they still don't understand. You can post it there in the discussion board. I've had students in past on online classes, they'll use these discussion boards to just say, hey, does anybody want to do a study session? And they'll do a study session via Skype, right? Or some other kind of way, so that they can talk it out, discuss it out to prepare for the exam. So it's a recommendation for you if you want to do it. But the discussion board is not required. It's not it's not in the grade book at all. So assignments for this week, you do have a review quiz, and they'll go over some of the ideas that we've had for this whole unit to kind of just remind you of things in metamorphism, tectonics, all these different things, and kind of tie them together a little bit. And then the exam is the big key point. Now the exam will be open from Tuesday to Thursday. You have 3 days. I've given you 3 days to do it. You still only get one attempt. You need to finish it in one sitting. So as always, if you have a problem, accidentally push submit before you meant to, something like that, please contact me sooner than later as you do that. Let's go to the exam really quick. So here's the exam. It's going to look a little bit different than the way you see it. You go through the preview the way you're going to see it. Okay, so you do have 60 minutes to actually do the test. There's 70 questions that you're going to be responding to. I know it says 53, but there's 70 responses to this that you'll have for that exam. Okay, this exam is practically the same exam I give to my face-to-face students, and I give you the same exact time that I do, and almost a little bit more for my face-to-face students. In a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, they have 50 minutes to finish this exam. You guys have 60 minutes to finish this exam. Now, I know online sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it shouldn't really, the way that it is. Now, I did change the way that this was done from last time a little bit. Okay, it's still the same amount of time, same amount of number of questions. Last time you had still about 70 questions as well. And so I changed a little bit to the fact that I'm not forcing you to go to one question enough and not be able to go back. Okay, so I decided, you know what, that really, hopefully this will help you a little bit more. And so, because some people would accidentally push submit instead of next, and so it was a little bit cumbersome in that way. And that's me just learning Canvas a little bit and be able to understand how Canvas is set up. I think this way is going to be a little bit better for you. I'm not going to show you the individual question. I'm going to just kind of scroll through it. So what it is each individual questions through here, and you can go through there and mark the questions. It's going to be multiple choice, true, false, matching, pretty much those kind of questions as you go through here. Okay, and so I'm going to give you a look at that there. So you're going to have 60 minutes to do it, and you guys should have plenty of time to do it. On average time my face-to-face students do to take this test is anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, now I'm giving you guys you have 60 minutes to do it. Now what I would recommend you to do, as always in one of my tests, is to go through the test and study for the test as if it was a face-to-face exam, which means that it's a closed book exam. What I would suggest is you go through each question and mark it like as if you didn't as if it was a closed book question, right? You don't have time to look up every single question to see if it's right or wrong. You just don't. So just go through and do it like as if it was a closed book, face-to-face exam. Now, once you have gone through the whole exam, then go back and actually look at questions that you might need some extra help on, and then look at your notes or something like that for those questions. So I had a couple of people last time who just didn't get done in time because they were spending too much time on each question that they didn't go through the exam in a timely fashion. Therefore, they left some of the questions at the end that they never got to. So heed my warning this time a little bit better, because I had some people do that say, go through the exam and make sure you pace yourself. Now this one, the way I did it is not by forcing you not to go through it, hopefully that might help you a little bit. The problem that I have with this, one of the reasons I did have to force you to go through it the last time, is because you have this running time at the very top here that you can see here, on the right here below my picture. And when I forced you through that, that time was always there, so you could see it all the time. Now when you scroll through it, that time goes away, and so it's harder for you to make sure you see it. So you need to watch your time a little bit better in that case. Okay, so just realize that and remember that that's there. Now, if you have any other questions, if you have an exam, please shoot me an email or shoot me write something down in the discussion board. I'll be looking at it on occasion. That would be the best. Now remember, you have till Tuesday to Thursday night. That means you have, if you started at 11:30, you're only going to have 30 minutes because it's due, it's submitted by 11:59, right? So make sure that you give yourself enough time to actually finish the test. Now, as always, I said this in the syllabus, I'm mostly available between 8 and 5 every single day. Now, on occasion, I'll look at my emails at night, but I don't always do that. Now, in the evenings, I have family, I have stuff, all the stuff that you guys have, I have as well, and I have other obligations, so I can't always do that at night. So if you want to get a hold of me, the best time to get a hold of me is during the day. And I'm going to be able to respond to you much better during the day than in the evening. I know a lot of you guys do your tests and your homework and stuff like that in the evening, because that's the time that you might not be at work or something like that. Because a lot of students who take online classes have schedules their day job, right, in a sense. And so I understand that, but I also have my day job, and which is this. And so I will usually be available mostly in the days. So if you send me an email at night, sometimes I won't get to you to the next day. So it's best to try to do this early than late. Okay. So if you have any other questions, please let me know. I'm glad to help you as much as I possibly can, and then we'll go from there. And just like last time, there will be a curve on this as well. There probably won't be as big of a curve this time as there was last time. I always give a little bit bigger curve on the first exam than my other ones, because everybody's on the first exam is just learning how the tests work in the class. So anyways, let me know if you have questions. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.